Hey guys, how is everyone doing? It is Friday night, Geeky Guy Comics here. So, as I mentioned a while back, I first met Ario Anindito at the start of last year, I think it was, and obviously it was really good. It was how Geeky Guy Comics started. It was absolutely massive. So it was a massive thank you for him taking his time out to spend a day with me. He came over. He was doing some few shows from Indonesia. He came over to England. We spent a day together. We was over in the UK. We was doing everything else, and it was really, really great to spend the time with a fantastic Marvel and DC artist, Rio, and really learn about what it takes to become a creative mind within the comic book community. So we're just waiting for him to log on now, but it's just going to be a casual Q&A session asking him about what he's been up to, what he's currently working on at the moment, what projects he's enjoyed doing so far, has he got anything else planned for the upcoming year of 2020. If you've got any questions, drop them on the chat and we'll get through them. It'd be great to have anyone on here, so if anyone feels free dropping in, let me know. We are currently just waiting for him to join in, so we are going to bring him on now. Hey Ario, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, John.
I see you've had a face job since we last met. You're looking much better.
I look a bit different since our last meeting.
It must
for
be.
You, I will wear
the bowler hat. Well done.
Yeah.
It must be all the hard work you've been up to. So what have you been up to since we last met? I think it was a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I believe so. It's quite a long time ago. Well, I've been doing comics, of course, Marvel comics, and then few statue designs, and then few events, of course, and then lately I've been into a trip to Madrid, Spain, which is very fun to do.
Yeah, see, I used to go to Spain every 2 or 3 weeks when I was in my old job, and I used to love Madrid. I was there for 3 or 4 days a week, and then I'd go down to Barcelona. So, what was you over in Madrid for?
Well, I was there as a mentor for two young artists that won a competition by a local company.
Oh wow!
And so they bring us to Madrid to see the museums, to see the artworks, and then they let me explain and share my knowledge to the young artists about the paintings and stuff.
Oh, wicked! So you was there for how long was you there for?
I was there for around 4 or 5 days, if I can remember. Yeah.
Oh, cool. So when we first met, you was it all started, didn't it? You had written, you had drawn Hulk-Varine's #1, and I remember, I think I posted the review. I posted the review on it on Instagram, and you kindly reached out and said that you liked the review, and it kind of went from there. I kind of approached you to do an interview over Skype, and as luck would have it, you was actually in the UK the week after.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it kind of just went from there. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed, it is. It's a fun time.
It was really good. I mean, have you got any plans to come over to the UK again, or?
No plan right now, but I'm always looking forward to visit UK. If there's any chance for me to go back, I would definitely go back.
Yeah, no, it'd be great to have you over again. So I guess, what are you currently working on at the moment?
I'm still working on the Atlantis Attack series. Currently, I'm working on issue #4. Yeah.
And how many? So obviously, last year was a busy year for you, and it seems to be kicking off the same way this year. It's busy once again. But what was your highlight of last year, would you say?
Well, last year my highlight is, of course, to be able to visit San Diego Comic Con and then New York Comic Con, and for the first time ever, I get to meet the people that I work with in Marvel of all these years. I never met them in person, and then suddenly I met the editors, I met the writers, I met the colorist, I met everyone that I've worked with. So it's been such a pleasure It's the highlight for me. And then at New York Comic Con, I got to see the statues that I designed for XM Studios because they have a booth over there, and to see it in person, because it's all in prototype stage. It's not
Hmm.
except for just one or two pieces of it. So it's been quite a wonderful time, and I think that's the highlight for me. Yes.
I can see you got a couple of statues behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Are they some of the ones that you've done, or are they just your personal collection?
Oh no! That's just my personal collection. I don't put my statues in my studio because it's in my display room. This at the back is
Yeah,
just Darth Maul by Hot Toys, and then I I think there's Evangelion and Cable and stuff like that. Because I collect
nice,
toys.
nice. Yeah, I've got a few Funko Pops behind me, and I've literally just been. I've just,
Yeah.
I've just recently got these. I've got this Superman. I don't know if you can see it.
Whoa! Yeah.
Yeah,
Superman
there's that one.
animated. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I've got
By
the
McFarlane.
by McFarlane and the Batman one as
The
well.
Batman.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I got gifted them because I've got a partnership with a toy company over in the UK called Sona Toys. So they send me the
Oh,
stuff for they send us the stuff to review and everything like that, which is really good. So it's great. I end up with a
awesome.
load of free toys, and then obviously my boys get to play with them all.
Well, you know my address, so if you ever got overloaded with the toys,
I tell you what, I think it's for me it's fine. I love the toys, but I think my wife, on the other hand, would quite happily pack up everything behind me and ship it to you, Ario. So that would be
yeah,
so yeah, I can send it to you. I don't know how long it'll take to get there though,
I'm
but so yeah.
sure.
So obviously you've been working on the toys, which are absolutely fantastic. If anyone out there hasn't seen them already, check them out on Ario's Instagram page. They're amazing. I think one of the first ones I see you work on was the Lobo one where he had the two. Was it
Yeah,
the two bulldogs?
yeah.
Um,
Lobo is my personal favorite of all the statues that I designed.
I think he's one of the most favourite characters in comic books. You don't really get to see a lot of him these days. Like he's kind of one of them.
Yep.
He's just made an appearance in at the end of Hellraiser #3. He made an appearance
Mm.
on the Apex Lex Luthor side. And obviously, I'm sure you're aware of how much Hella Risen and James Tinian's Batman has blown up with the introduction of Punch Nine,
Yep.
the Joker's new girlfriend, and stuff like that. So, yeah,
Yes.
so hopefully Lobo will be making more of an appearance. I've actually got that comic. I'm just going to get it and show you. Have you read it, Rio?
I'm I'm looking forward to see more of Lobo, and Lobo has a daughter now, right?
Yes, yeah. So this is the comic that obviously blew up. This is Hella Risen #3. So over in Yeah,
Whoa.
so let me just see if you haven't seen it. So
Nice.
the Joker has returned, but basically this comic blew up insanely because it's the first appearance of the Joker's new girlfriend,
Punchline.
Punchline. Yeah, and
Ah.
I mean she's always going to be second best to Harley Quinn in my eyes. But the
Of
page
course,
we are
mine too.
talking about is this one. There he is.
Aha, Lobo.
He has made the appearance, and
I see.
this is the first time I've seen him in a comic book for a long time. I mean, I mean, you're a big fan of Lobo, as I know.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
it must have been so interesting for you to be given the opportunity to actually make a statue of one of your favorite characters.
Indeed, it is. Indeed, it is. In fact, I am the one that suggested the character. I told XM like, can I make Lobo? I mean, I have wild ideas about Lobo, and they say, well, yeah, Lobo is a good idea, then let's do it. And then, yeah, we ended up making him with two bulldogs, two dogs, and one hand is throwing the dogs and stuff like that. We're just having fun with Lobo.
No, it looked wicked. I mean, and how long is the process from actually So how do you design it? How is designing a figure different to doing the artistic work in a comic book, for instance?
Well, it depends on each character. Sometimes when you got a clear imagination or clear concept about the statues itself, and then I just draw the design and then send
Hmm.
it to XM, and XM will send it to DC for approval. And if it
Yeah.
gets approved right away, then it gets straight to the 3D artist, and then they got to sculpt it and print it and then paint it, and yeah, go to mass production.
And how long does that process normally take?
Well, there's no such thing as normally take because it's very different for each and every character. But Lobo took around probably a month or two to complete. I think it's less than 2 months because I have a clear concept of what I want,
Hmm.
and I got the concept approved within less than 2 months, and then the rest of the stage I have no idea how long it took to sculpt
Hmm.
it and then to print it and to paint it. But for me, in the design stage, it took around, yeah, less than two
Hmm.
months
That's not actually
Mm-hmm.
it's not that long thinking about all the detail of the work
Yeah,
that goes into it. It looks insane. Honestly, I think that was one of the first.
thank you.
It was one of the first statues you showed me, and I was like, "This is incredible. It's amazing." And then the
have you seen the real one?
no, I haven't. No, I haven't seen it
Oh,
yet. So I'm not.
you'll be happy.
I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, do you know if it will be sent over into the UK to the likes of like Forbidden Planet and stuff like that?
I have no idea about that, but when it's released, as long as they're distributing the XM pieces, then it will be because it has a worldwide distribution. So
Yeah,
yeah, there's a big chance that your local comic store will have it.
I'm just trying to find it now because I want to know if it will be making its way to the UK. So I'm just having a look on the internet, and I think I've found it. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's Rio. This is more amazing than I actually remember, mate. This is. It looks in. It looks in. This looks incredible. I'm
Yeah.
just going to try and see if I can get another video up of. I'm going to see if I can actually play it in this stream. I'm not sure if I can, because I would love to be able to show it to the
Yeah.
guys watching back on this.
Share the screen.
I'm not sure I don't know how to do it. I'm just going to see if I can share it. I know that's how to do two monitors. See, this is all new to me. I'm just trying to get it sorted. But what I'll do when I post this up, I'll post a link to the video and you can see it. And I'm looking at
Yep.
it now. It's just his gun is amazing.
Yeah,
Like
and his teeth and everything looks amazing. It's my favorite piece of all the pieces that I've designed.
it just looks insane. Like the way that he's holding the dog up in the air and
Yep.
it just mate, honestly,
Oh.
you must have been like so proud when you literally
Oh,
got the
very,
opportunity.
very.
It looks insane. And then
Yeah.
obviously we spoke the other day when I found out that you'd done the Harley Quinn piece. Like,
Yep.
I'm a massive Harley Quinn fan, as I'm sure you know.
I know. Yeah, I've done both of the Harley Quinn, the rebirth version and the samurai version for XM Studios.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
And
they
how
have
long?
the samurai version.
Yeah, it just looks. I mean, I've got to be like honestly, it just looks it looks insane. It looks so good. It just
Thanks,
looks.
mate.
I mean, what do you enjoy doing more? Do you enjoy doing the comics more, or do you enjoy doing like the concepts for the statues and everything?
Oh, I enjoy doing comics more because I got to draw all the actions, the
Hmm.
interactions, and the adventures. Where the fun part of making statues is because I myself am a collector.
Hmm.
So um, I got to design something that I would love to collect, and that is such a joy. Like for Lobo, I would just imagine like if I want to have a good Lobo statue, what would it be? Would it look like? And so I
Yeah.
just designed the kind of statue that I would love to have. So
Hmm.
it's fun, but not as fun as creating the adventure and get to make the character, move and alive and interacting and fight and talk to other characters. It's
Yeah.
a whole different world.
I mean, and I guess are the deadlines similar to building a model into a comic book? I mean, obviously we speak regularly, and I feel sorry for you because every time I talk to you, you're up at the crack of dawn, or you're still working, and it's been 27 hours since you slept. So I admire all the hard work you do, but would you say the deadlines are the same for a model or a comic? I think personally, I think it's harder doing a comic for you.
Oh yeah. It's harder doing the comics. The deadline for statues, I told the XM that my main profession, my main work is the comics. So the statue deadline would follow the comic deadline. So if I said, I'm sorry, I need to finish my comic first, then the statue deadline will have to wait for me to finish the comic deadline first because it's my main job, it's my
Hmm.
main profession. Yeah. So and you're right. It's been kind of almost never stop. When I go to Madrid, I draw on the plane, and when I visit the museum every single day at night in the hotel room, I'm still drawing comics. And when I go back on the plane, I'm also drawing. So yeah, that's kind of what I do.
And your wife went with you to Madrid as well, didn't she?
Hmm? Sorry,
Did your wife?
pardon?
Did your wife go with you to Madrid?
Oh yeah. She came along, and she loves it as well.
So how does she cope with the fact that even in your downtime you're drawing comics?
Hmm. Well, she's very used to it, and she keeps reminding me to rest, of course. And sometimes she forces me to sleep, and sometimes I fell asleep because of her, and then I wake up and panicking because I need to submit pages. But she's been so very
Hmm.
helpful because well, she feed me. That's number one. And she calms me down whenever I'm panicking because sometimes I get stuck like, oh my god, I cannot draw a hand. And then she's like, just take a deep breath
Yeah.
and relax, and maybe I can give you a coffee or something like that, and then you'll be able to draw a hand again, and it always works.
I mean, yeah, I can't even draw. I mean, when I was growing up, I was able to draw. I was a good drawer. I was never as good as you, but I couldn't even think about drawing on an iPad now. So I think we spoke about this last time. Do you still find yourself
Uh-huh.
using traditional pen and paper, or is it all digital now?
Well, now I'm working with Owacom. It's a Japanese company that produce a drawing tool for the digital
Okay.
tool, and I'm working with them because they are specialized on making drawing tools for the digital. So they they specify on creating a digital drawing tool that is very sophisticated and very good, and so I've been using that.
Hmm.
Specifically, I'm using the Cintiq Pro 24-inch, if I'm not mistaken. It's quite large, and
Yeah.
it's quite yeah, it's very sophisticated and very comfortable for me to draw on that.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, honestly,
Hmm.
it looks wicked. I mean, I was lucky enough to be drawn into one of your comics. It was Iron Hammer 2000, and was it last year? You see the back of my ponytail.
I think last year. Yeah. I think last year.
That was pretty.
Early last year.
It was early last year, and I think it was a running joke that I'd constantly be walking around with a speech bubble in my face because I think I was unlucky enough that I was one of the journalists in panel to ask Tony Stark a question, and then I ended up with a speech bubble in front of my face. So that was very unfortunate, but that
I'm
was my
sorry
claim
for
to
that.
fame.
I am.
That's all right. That's fine.
Yeah. Well.
That was my claim to fame. I can say I was in a Marvel comic. I was the speech bubble man. That can.
Well, blame the letterer. I have no control for that.
Who was the letter on that? I'm gonna write him an email. I'm gonna
Spare
say
him, Charlie. Spare
I'm
him.
gonna say Ario went to all that time and effort to put me into a comic, and you put a bloody speech bubble over my head.
Well, there's always next time. Whenever I see a chance to put my colleagues and my friends in it,
Yeah,
then I would do that.
it should be easier now. I got rid of that long hair about six months ago.
Well noted. Well noted.
Yeah, it was getting on my nerves. I ended up looking bald anyway. So after you finish Atlantis, what are you working on? Can you tell us what you're working on, or is it a kept secret from DC or Marvel? What are you going to be working on? Are you going back to the DC stuff, or are you still going to be keeping working solely with Marvel?
Well, in comics, as an interior, I have no idea what am I going to do after Atlantis attack, but I
Hmm.
do have a secret project on a cover art,
Wow.
which is not Atlantis. Which is not Atlantis attack, but it's going to be cool, at least for me.
Hmm. That's looking wicked. So when you was over in Madrid, is there a big following for comics? I mean, because I think when I started doing the YouTube and stuff like that, I kind of with the Instagram, it kind of just fell into place. Like the followers are organic. They just jump on. If you put a good post up, they'll just jump on it. But with YouTube, you have to be. I mean, that's what I'm finding. You've got to be consistently putting stuff out there. You've got to keep doing it all the time. And I mean, in the US, it's a massive. There's a massive market for comics. I mean, people go out and spend 5 6 hours in a comic store. I mean, I was on a podcast the other week with a group of guys like me that are just trying to get stuff out there for comic books, for movies, basically bring the geekiness and the nerdiness of the UK to the forefront like the Americans are doing. And we were sitting here talking and we was like, in America, you could go out for an afternoon and spend 7 or 8 hours in a comic book shop and make a whole day of it, make an event of it. In the UK, a lot of people will go to their comic book shop, they'll pick up the comic that they want, and then they'll just leave. Whereas my local comic book shop, I would go in on a Saturday afternoon, I'd stay there for 2 or 3, maybe 4 hours, talking about comics, just chilling out with the guys in the store and just having a general geeky chat about upcoming comics, what comics are out there at the moment and everything like that. So what was the atmosphere within Madrid? Was it similar to the US or is it similar to the UK?
Well, my journey to Madrid is not really comic driven. It's more into a fine art, and we actually visit Arco Madrid. It's an art fair where there's a lot of art galleries that are displaying their artists' work. So, because of the schedule that is very full, and I only got the chance to visit one comic book, and that was Electra comic. And
I see that, yeah.
and it's a pretty big comic store, comic shop, and there's quite a lot of people in that shop when I come in, and
Hmm.
so I think that's kind of show that people over there, they enjoy reading comic as well. Although the storekeeper told me that there's a delay on every release, around probably 2 or 3 months, because they need to translate it first to
Wow.
Spanish language. So I think the company that is translating or making the Spanish version of the comics is called Panini. So
Is that the toy
they
company as well?
I have no idea, but Panini. Um, I remember when I was a little kid, they make the cards, the
Like the
Panini
football,
cards.
football
Yeah,
collecting cards and stuff like that. So maybe
exactly,
they might be.
exactly.
But I
Yeah,
mean,
I think it's the same company. So they
okay.
make the Spanish version of Marvel and DC comics, and that's why there are a slight delay on every release, maybe 2 or 3 months, because they need to get it translated first,
Yeah.
and then yeah,
So
reprinted and things like that.
so while we're on the story of talking about comics and stuff like that, have you seen the video that leaked from the? I'm not sure. It was one of the Comic Cons over in America, and it was a video someone had
Mm-hmm.
took of CGC guys grading a comic. Have you seen this video?
Mm-hmm.
Have you
No, I haven't.
have you heard about it though?
No, what happened?
So basically, there was a CGC grading stand at one of these Comic Cons, and this guy is videoing him, and this guy's sitting there. This guy from CGC is sitting there, and he's flicking through this comic. He's bending all the pages. He's kind of smearing his fingers all over it and stuff like that. And he's putting some real distress on the cover and on the pages and stuff like that. And it's come out on the internet, and people are like, "Is this what CGC are actually doing when they're grading their comics?" Now, obviously, when you send off a comic, you're sending off a comic that it's your pride and possession, and you want to see what grade it comes
Yeah.
back. I mean, if you get back a 10, you're absolutely over the moon. If you get back a 9.6 or a 9.8, that's a seriously good graded comic. But the fact is that they was
Mm-hmm.
great. They was grading this comic live, and I'm sure you can go on YouTube or you can type it into Google and you'll see it. He's literally creasing up the pages. He's putting distress on the front cover, and it was quite. Being a massive comic book collector, being a massive comic book fan, I was quite annoyed and upset that I'm literally looking at a company that people pay good money to get their comics done, and he's literally sitting there ruining this comic. But you'll have to have a look at the video and just
That
give me
is awful.
yeah, you just have to
No,
have a
no,
look
no,
at
no.
it.
I
It's
don't want
so
to ruin my mood. I
bad.
don't want to ruin my mood.
I was like, this is shocking. How can you treat a comic like that? And this comic was worth thousands, thousands of pounds, and
Ouch.
it's just like I'm surprised you haven't seen it. I thought you would have seen it, but it was ridiculous. I'm actually going to hold on one second. I'm just going to try and find out where it was. The CGC
Well,
grading.
when you're busy with deadlines on making comics,
Yeah,
maybe there's a lot of YouTube videos that you missed.
yeah. Do you know
And
what?
uh,
I think there's. I'm not going to be able to find it, but honestly, if you do get the chance of Rio, and it's shocking, man. Honestly, it's so bad. I was like, this is disgusting. It's such a bad video. And I'm like thinking, like, I send comics to CGC, and if it comes back with a really rubbish grade, I'm probably like, yeah, that's probably why, because you've just bent my comic in half. Like, it's so bad.
but 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 didn't you take pictures of your comic before you send it to CGC and stuff like that,
Yeah. So
right?
you take like I take mine to my comic book shop, a place in space, and I'll take pictures of it. But I trust them guys. But then
Uh,
even though you trust them, your trust isn't. It's not in them. It's in the CGC offices. So it's kind of like
I know exactly.
it's just so horrible. So I
So
mean,
can you like complain like, hey, this is the picture of my comic when it was sent to you, and then it get back like this? What happened?
I've never had a problem. I've got 3 or 4 CGCs. I mean, I don't really get a lot of them done. I'll only get like a really key piece done because I like to get out my comics. I like to read them all all again. But I mean,
Mm.
if you get them in the CGC, they're under lock and key. You can't get them out unless you break the case. So I mean, there's only a certain few that I've had done, and I've been fortunate enough that they've all come back. They're okay. But I mean, I guess there's people out there that do receive them and are like, well, I sent you this comic. It's now come back as this. This can't be the same comic. But I mean, if that video is anything to go by, then they clearly don't give a shit.
That's terrible, man. That's terrible. I mean, oh my god, I don't want to see it. It will ruin my mood. It's
Yeah, don't watch it. I didn't set out to watch it. I was watching a video of my mate in the United States, and he just literally posted it up on his YouTube screen, and it was like one of them things. I was like, I can't look away now. I was like, I can't look away. I've got to look at it, and I ended up looking at it, and I was like, oh my god, my eyes are burnt forever. But I mean, how was New York Comic Con? Did you go to New York Comic Con?
Yeah, I went to New York Comic Con, and as a matter of fact, it was when I finally meet my editors and my collaborators in Marvel Comics, because I didn't get to meet them in San Diego Comic Con, and probably at San Diego Comic Con I was too busy hunting for toys, anyways. And you know what? I really enjoy my visit to the United States. Based on the news and media, they said a lot of scary or bad things, but when I visit there, it totally changed my mind. I mean, the people, the place were amazing. I totally enjoy my stay during my visit in the United States, and yeah, it adds more lesson for me not to trust or listen to the media too much.
Yeah, I mean, I'm meant to be going out to New York in the next 2 weeks or so, and then heading out again. And then heading out again towards the end of April, but it's kind of all up in the air with this coronavirus. So, like, we're kind of like on lockdown over here. We don't know. I mean, we don't. I mean, I'm meant to be going out there on mid-March, but that's kind of. I'm not going to find out until 2 or 3 days before I'm meant to go, which isn't going to be feasible. The flights are obviously going to be extortionate, and then I'm meant to be going out in April to open up a new store. But again, it's just. I mean, I'm looking forward to it because I want to go to one of the best comic shops in America. I want to go to Midtown Comics, and I want to actually see how the comic industry does in the United States. I've never been to New York. I've travelled all around the world with work. I've been fortunate enough, and I've never been to the States. I'm really looking forward to it.
You'll love it. You'll love it. I mean, New York is it's a place of diversity. There's a lot of kind of people over there, and I'm a Muslim. My wife is a Muslim. She wears a hijab, and she didn't get any discriminations or anything bad. People are so very welcoming, and they treat us very nice. Yeah, they treat us very nicely. And my wife even said that she really loves New York. Her favorite place is still Tokyo, but number 2 is New York.
I love Tokyo.
And,
I love Tokyo.
Me too. And when you're in New York, make sure you eat their pizza. Like every pizza in New York are
isn't
delicious.
Isn't it like a slice like that big?
Yeah. Just make sure you eat a New York pizza and hot dog.
How long was you there for, Rio?
You just have to. I was in New York for probably 8 days or 9. I can't remember, but yeah, it's quite a long time. Yeah,
that's wicked. Yeah, I'm literally going to go there for like 2 or 3 days, and hopefully I'm going to get some time off just to pop around and have a look at the comic book shops. And I mean,
yeah,
as I mentioned, the comic book world over there it's something totally different than the UK. I mean, we've got a lot to do to catch up. So I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best, mate.
If you ever visit Midtown Comics in the Times Square,
because isn't there two? Isn't there two?
I don't know, but I visit one of them, and I do signings for a few copies of Sword Master series. And if you can grab one, it comes with a certificate of authenticity made by them that states it's an actual signature by me.
Okay. And
Hmm.
I know exactly what your
It,
signature looks like because I've got a signed Hulk Marines #1. So if there's people out there trying to forge your signature, I'm on their case, mate. I will know.
well, I actually it's only for me it's a chance to get a certificate of
Hmm.
authenticity from Midtown
Yeah.
because yeah, I don't even have one. I just signed them, and I don't even have the certificate of authenticity. I
It's like when you
only see,
it's like when you
yeah, I
came over
only
to
get to see
London.
the pictures.
Yeah, it's like when you
What?
came
Sorry.
over to London. It's like when you came over to London and we
Uh-huh.
went into them comic book shops and I
Yeah.
was like, "This is Ario
Uh-huh.
Anindito, Marvel drawer for Wolverines. Do you want him to sign some comics?" And they was like,
Uh-huh.
"Yeah, okay, yeah, he can sign them." But yeah, you don't get anything back for that. It's mental.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
there?
but it's very different in Forbidden Planet in Belfast,
Hmm.
and the Electra comic in Madrid, where people over there were very appreciative and
Yeah.
very enthusiastic when I told them that I work in Marvel Comics, and they really treated me like family, and they are very kind and warm, welcoming, and they ask me about stuff that they are always wondering about comics, about creating comics, about my life as a comic artist, and how do I start, making comics? Why do I choose this job?
Hmm.
And it left me a big mark in me that I feel like home in
Yeah.
Forbidden Planet Belfast and
Hmm.
in Electro Comics. I feel like home because they treated me and appreciate me really really nicely. So it's not that I don't feel like home in other comic places, but somehow the people are at Forbidden Planet Belfast and Electro Comics show a little bit more appreciation, and
Hmm.
they really want to know about my job, about
Hmm.
my personal stories, and they talk and they genuinely chat like meeting an old friend. So it
Yeah.
leaves yeah, a warm memories in me.
Oh, that's wicked. I think when we first met, you told me the
Hmm.
story about your first ever comic experience in the comic shop in um was it in Indonesia?
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
about
in
wasn't it about
Bandung.
yeah, wasn't it about an hour's drive for your mum to take you?
Yes, yes, that's correct.
I mean, I love that story. Do you want to just go over it? I think we've got Yosef. He's just joined the chat, so I'm just going to give him a
Uh-huh.
shout out. Hey, how you doing? But I mean, if you wouldn't mind, would you be able to tell that
Hmm.
story again? Because I honestly thought it was amazing how it kind of got you into comics, and then when you went back there.
Uh-huh. Sure, of course. Well, I started reading a US comic when I was in a junior high school. Hi,
Hmm.
Josephus. I just read the chat. Yeah. Well, and at that time, I was forbidden to go to my local comic shop because it's too far from my place. It's an hour ride from
Hmm.
my home. So my mother would take me there on weekends when she's not working. She's a single parent, so
Hmm.
she basically raised me, and she supported me and my hobby when I really love comics.
Hmm.
She sacrificed her weekend, her only time to rest, to drive me there. And then
Hmm.
at one point when I was sitting in that comic shop, I look at the walls full of comic covers, and I imagine that wouldn't be great and wonderful if one day there's my name in one of the covers, and and then I took it and then I pay it in the cashier, and just how it feels. It must have been great.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens in 97. And then at 2009, I met Brian Bolland in
Yes. Yeah.
in Singapore Comic Con. I
Mm-hmm.
was queuing on his line, and I brought my portfolio aside from the Killing Joke comic that I want
Yeah.
him to sign.
Yeah.
And after he signed my copy, I then show him my portfolio, and he really took his time to open it and look at my artwork. And I mean, it's terrible. My work
Mm-hmm.
are terrible back then, but he's taking his time to look at it, and he
Mm-hmm.
said these words that I would never forget in my entire life. And he said, "I don't know how it works nowadays, but I think you should work for DC."
I remember when you told me this. I've had the same response now. That accent is just, it's amazing.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, Brian Bolland just told me those magical words.
Mm-hmm.
It lingers in my head, and I suddenly just got the confidence that, I mean, all this time my friends and colleague told me that, oh, Ario, you can draw nicely. Oh, you that's a beautiful drawings. And
Mm-hmm.
of course I appreciate them when they say that, when they told me that. But when Brian Bolland told me that, it's
Yeah.
legit. It's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
coming from it's coming from the master himself. It's coming
Yeah.
from the person that has been in the industry for years. And so I get the confidence after that, and I
Mm-hmm.
practice and practice and practice again. And then at 2012, I finally get my first gig on DC, which is Red Hood and the Outlaws. I only make the backup comics, but it really means a lot to me, thanks to Mr. Bolland.
So yeah, I
And
mean, because obviously
yeah.
Alan
Mm-hmm.
Moore and Brian Boland, that
Mm-hmm.
comic is.
Mm-hmm.
If you mention that to anyone, I've got to say everyone will probably have the same response, that is probably one of the greatest comics of all time, and
Yes, yes,
and
yes, yes.
no one still knows if Batman killed the Joker or not.
Yeah.
I don't
And
think anyone will ever know.
true. And when the people around the world are hype, about the
Hmm.
Joker movie, I was like, hey guys, you should read The Killing Joke. The
Mm.
Joker movie ain't got nothing compared to
Yeah,
that
yeah.
comic.
There were
It took
similarities in
a
between that, though,
lot
didn't
of
you think?
exactly. It took a lot of elements from that
Hmm.
comic, but for me, the comic is far, far more perfect
Hmm.
than that movie,
Yeah. And have you
because
seen
it
the
really
animated?
shows. Yeah.
Have you seen the animated version of the Killer?
No, because of the harsh reviews, I decided that I don't want to see it, because
I didn't think it was that bad.
some
I didn't think it was that
okay.
bad. I mean, if you've got an opportunity to get it, I would look at it. But if you haven't, I can send it to you.
Hmm.
It's not a problem. I can email it over to you. It's your
Sure.
call. Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, it's not the comic. The comic book form is what started it all. And looking through the pages, I'm lucky enough to have the full color version and also the Killing Joke Noir, which is literally the black and white
Yeah.
version, and it's insanely so well
Yep.
done. It's incredible. And even to this day, if I'm just wanting to chill out and read a comic book, that's probably where I'll go to, is a Killing Joke.
Yep. Yep.
It
Yep. Yep.
just signifies everything about the Batman and the Joker's relationship.
It's a masterpiece. It's a
Yeah.
masterpiece.
So anyway, sorry I
Yeah.
interrupted you. So honestly, because of the conversation we had with Brian Boland, you kind of went onto the path of where you've
Mhm.
kind of ended up now.
Yeah, and then after I finally made the DC comics, there's two issues, and I finally get to sit on that very comic store that
Hmm.
that I went when I was a kid. That was 97, and then I met Brian Bolland in 2009, and then in 2012 I got to live the dream where where I'm sitting there. I look at the
Hmm.
cover with my name in it, and then I took it to the cashier and I bought it. And the cashier is the same lady that
Wow.
was when I was in '97. So she knew me when I was a little kid, and
Yeah.
then suddenly that little kid has his name printed in the cover of the DC Comics. So it's been amazing. Sadly, the comic stores is closed now,
Oh,
so
no way.
I don't. Yeah, so I don't have any comic store or comic shops that sells U.S. comics in my town anymore. I don't have it.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it's
Well,
so
that's
sad, but thankfully, I still got all of the works that I've done.
mhm.
Marvel sent me that through Midtown Comics. So,
Ah, wicked. Okay, cool.
but yeah, but I still
Yeah,
want
because
to go to comic stores and yeah, and browse at the covers and see the preview, see the inside. It's always
yeah.
different. Visiting a comic store is always different. That's why when you took me around London
Hmm.
to visit comic stores, it's such a amazing experience.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think we went to one where you were staying near in Notting Hill, and then we
Yeah.
went to Forbidden Planet,
Uh huh.
and then we went to Orbital Comics. But you went to Gosh Comics, didn't you? And you got a book signed the day before.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I still have this book that I bought in, I think, one of the comic stores. I can't remember which one,
Yeah.
but I really like this book because this book deals with depression
Hmm.
and things that is very personal. And I cannot get this here in Indonesia.
Yeah.
The only time or the only chance I can get this is because you took me around. So
Hmm.
thank you for that.
Oh man, not a problem. It was great spending a day with you and just learning what it actually takes to be a Marvel and DC artist extraordinaire like yourself.
Thank you
I,
so much for your kind words.
I mean,
Th-
even even when you're chilling out and you're not, I
Mhm.
know it's not very often because you're constantly one of the hardest working guys I know in comics. When you do have a
Thank
chance
you.
to sit down and just
Mhm.
chill out,
Mhm.
you're still
Mhm.
drawing.
Um, I whenever I have a time to me time, I call it me time.
Hmm.
Whenever I have me time, I use it to read comics, other people's comics. I use it to watch TV series, Netflix and stuff like that. I use it to watch wrestling, WWE. I always try to find one where the Undertaker shows up.
Yeah,
um, and I try to do sports. I try to do swimming and yeah, just. But that's the problem. There's not enough me time. Never enough me time.
that's the
Mostly
thing.
when I have yeah, mostly when I have time to rest, I sleep because I always have lack of sleep.
Well, that's the thing. So, I mean, I'm pretty much the
Uh-huh.
same on you with that, with the three kids and stuff. I'm not even trying to compare it to you,
Mhm.
mate. So don't worry about that. But what comic, what
Uh-huh.
comics are you reading at the moment?
Oh well, I am reading at. I bought it. This one I bought when I visited Madrid.
Hmm.
It's not in English, so I don't really understand the language.
Yeah,
But the drawing is very nice.
that looks insane. What is that? A
Yeah, yeah,
werewolf?
yeah. I mean, when you yeah, it's I think it's more like a dire wolf because it's so huge.
Hmm.
Wait, let me show you the interior page of it. It's wonderful. That's why I took it. Uh, it's just amazing. It's brilliant. It's the point of view and it's very cinematic. Well, I guess many of European comics are like that. See if you can see this.
Wow. Yeah, that looks amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it's really good. It's really good. Okay.
That looks wicked.
Yeah,
Is that a
something
hardback?
like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's wicked.
Yeah.
That's well cool.
Yeah, it's by Hammond and Carry On. As in not Carry On, but Hammond and Hammond and Carry On.
Carry on. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Carry
Hammond.
On.
Carry on, sir.
Yeah.
Carry on. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
so obviously I am like, I mean, it's all kicked off. Like I'm reading so many comics at the moment. There's like, I'm reading Batman, I'm reading DC Black Label. Are you going to be doing
Mm,
anything with like DC Black Label? Because obviously they are now they've partnered up with Hill House Comics. So they've got Stephen King's
mm,
son called Joe Hill, and they've
mm,
DC Black Label is the darker, the more adulted aimed comic book, and I've got to
yeah.
say there's some great stories out there. We had like there's like Superman Year One, there's like Batman Curse of the White Knight, there's Harley Quinn, there's Harleen, there's Joker Harley Criminal Sanity, there's you've got the Hill House comic side, you've got like Basket Full of Heads, Daphne Bryan, Lolo
Mm-hmm.
Woods, the
Mm-hmm.
Dollhouse Family. They are really like they touch on like the mental health issues and stuff like that. That's kind of taboo. Do you ever think you'll
Mm-hmm.
move over from doing the superhero genre into the DC Black Label side of things?
Well, as an artist, of course, I want to be able to tackle as many genre or type of comic as possible. Um, but right now, even I feel like I'm still studying, I'm still
Hmm.
learning on how to make a proper superhero comic. So there's still a long way for me to go to learn on how to make a proper one,
Hmm.
and I'm learning by doing, and I hope that my work is getting better and better. Atlantis Attacks #1 has a reprint, has a second
Hmm.
printing, so that is a good sign. I never have any of my comic that got second printed, so it's
Not
something
even
that is
Swordmaster.
I don't think so. I'm not sure, but this Atlantis Attack it's very special for me because the second printing of #1 is using my
Hmm.
artwork as the cover, so it's pretty special for me. And I'm also the cover artist for #5, and
Hmm.
I've never done any cover art before. So sorry. So Atlantis Attack #1 and #5, it has special place in my heart, and of course, I owe Greg Pak and Rachelle Rosenberg and Tom Groneman and Mark
Hmm.
Paniccia, basically the whole team, because they trusted me. They put a lot of trust in me in order to do this,
Hmm.
and we Atlantis Attack is very special for me. And Greg Pak, I've been collaborating with him for many times, and I always enjoy working on his script
Yeah,
because
because you worked with him on
he,
Swordmaster as well, didn't you?
yeah, and
And I've
Hulk Marines as well.
And I've just looked up that
Hmm.
Swordmaster #1 did go for a second reprint.
Whoa,
Yeah,
that's amazing. So I got two books that got reprint.
you
That's
got
cool.
two. But yeah, I
Wow.
mean, you've worked with him. You worked with him
Yeah,
on
yeah,
Swordmaster.
yeah,
You
yeah.
worked with him with Atlantis Attacks, and obviously you worked with him with Hulk Marines. I mean, is
Yes.
he must just be a genius to work with now?
Oh yeah. I mean, what's special about his work is he's not only just creating a superhero comics, but he touches a lot of things in his comics. Like in Hulk Marines,
Hmm.
he really put a lot of quite a large portion of it dealing with family issues. So basically, Clay Cortez, the Hulk Marines, is a family man, and when he was forced to leave his family in order to keep them safe, he has to leave his family, and the way he talked to the wife and stuff like that is very touching, and
Hmm.
it touches a deeper level of, I mean, it's
Yeah,
not just
yeah, no, definitely.
punching, it's not just kicking, it's not just clawing, it's all about protecting your family. And in Swordmaster we get to deal with a diversity, and that is also what happened in Atlantis
Mm-hmm.
Attacks, where almost all of the team were Asian, are Asian,
Mm-hmm.
from different part of Asia. And in the issue we get to see where we have the pan portals, right? And we get
Yeah.
to see a refugee from Madripoor, where she and her children cannot go back to Madripoor, because if she comes back to Madripoor she will be killed.
Mm-hmm.
And that issue actually deals with what we are dealing with right now, with all the refugees, with all the dangers in some part of the world, and
Mm-hmm.
how we react to the people that needs our help. Whether are we going to accept them with all their plus and pros and cons, with all their characters, in order to save their life, and how to create a better life for them. And Greg wrote it all beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
He's just wonderful to work with, and he definitely has a good heart. He is a very good man.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I guess on that note, is there more coming up from the both of you in 2020?
From what? Sorry.
Is there more coming up from you and Greg Pak in 2020?
Oh, I hope so. I hope so. I don't know after Atlantis attack, but I told my editors that I'm always open, and I'm always ready to do another collaboration with Greg. Whenever he asked me to do his script and his story, I will always be ready. I will always say yes to him, because for me, his work is always special, and I got
Mm-hmm.
to learn a lot on working with him and his script. And I got to meet Greg when I was in New York. I finally get to meet the person himself, and he's a very kind person. He is a very kind person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel like I've known him for a long time, because he's very warm, welcoming, and yeah, basically he's the perfect writer for me, and I always enjoy working on his books. So whenever he asks me to do another project, I'm in, man.
And I'm looking forward to seeing it. I really can't wait.
Thank you,
I'm really looking
thank you
forward to
so
it.
much, Charlie.
Rio, mate,
Thank you.
it's been an absolute pleasure yet again talking to you. I know that we talk time and time again over WhatsApp and stuff like that, and you're constantly in this country or
Of
you're this
course.
back.
uh,
But yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic. I just want to say thank you for kind of helping me on this journey of Geeky Guy Comics to begin with. I think if you hadn't given me that chance to do my first ever Geeky Guy Comics interview with you, I don't think we'd be sitting here now. So I just want to give a massive shout out to you for that. Um, Hopefully, I get to see you again soon. You never know. Maybe Geeky Guy Comics will make it that big that I'll have to come over to Indonesia. Who knows?
of course.
Who knows?
Man, Charlie, the pleasure's all mine. You're always kind. You're always so very kind to me from the first time we've met. And you kindly gave me a tour, and it's just unforgettable for me. So I'm happy to see your channel grow up.
Thank
Geeky
you
Guy
very much.
Comics is yeah, it's growing, and it's getting bigger and bigger. Of course, I'm so happy to see that, and because I can see your passion in
Hmm.
comics. So people will sooner or later, everyone will see it as well.
Hmm.
And I will always support you. You know that. So
Thank you. Yeah, I know
whenever
you
we
will.
have the whenever we have the right schedule, I'm always here to talk about my work and everything, basically.
Yeah,
So
man.
it's been a pleasure, Charlie.
But thank you very much. So, as
You're
always,
welcome.
what is the time over there now anyway?
Right now it's 7 in the morning, and it's. I think after this, I'm going to take a sweet, sweet nap, sleep finally.
You deserve it. I mean, it's 7 o'clock in the morning where you are. It's midnight where I am. I
Yeah.
think it's come at the perfect time for both of us to say, see you later, and I will talk to you again soon. I'll probably talk to you. I'll give you a text message tomorrow or anything, but it's been absolutely
Sure.
great, dude. And thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to just sit and just chat for an hour.
No worries, Charlie. No worries. Always a pleasure to talk with you.
Cheers, Ario, and I will see you soon, mate.
Yeah. See you soon, man.
See you later,
Cheers.
dude. Cheers, mate.
See you later.